And start record, and let's begin. Alright, so this is a match for the Season 3 qualifiers for playing in the Season 3 Championship Series. This is a first round match, round of 32. This is between FXOpen on the top and Team Undergeared at the bottom. And this is in spectator mode. We're going to be watching here. It is just off of the Riot stream. That means I can't move the camera. That means I can't move things around down on the display, and that means we have to use directed camera, which I detest. I hate directed camera. I think it's terrible. I think anyone who uses it is just lazy and is too lazy to move the camera around to see what's actually going on, but no choice. It looks like we have, let's see, in terms of the players here, we have FXO JRT playing as Ezreal, Navatar playing as Karthus, Entus playing as Olaf, Daydreamin playing as Taric, and FXO 408 playing as Amumu. For Team FXOpen, on the other side, for Team Undergeared, we have Volt Ninja, I think. It's a little hard to see. The letters are quite small. Volt Ninja playing as Nocturne. I can't read that. It's too small. Achille playing as Orianna. Waka Waka Walk playing as Quirky. Gandhi Sauce playing as Lulu. And Eternic playing as Jace. I think I will largely call people by their champion names because I'm not too terribly familiar with any of these players. In this match, Olaf walked forward and just worded that brush topside, and the red team was not able to kill it, unfortunately. Again, I don't like the fact that these names are not lined up down here, so it's going to be very difficult to see who's ahead in lanes, and we're using the directed camera. Once again, red team not fast enough to kill that ward that Team FXOpen put down, so they're going to have very good vision on top side of the match going into this. In terms of starting items, things that come out, note the flasks all over the place. The crystalline flask, very popular starting item for FXO in mid, in top, and on their support. In terms of Team Undergeared, they're starting with flask on their mid and also on their support. The difference being that their top laner is boots 3 pots, whereas Olaf on Team FXO is Crystalline Flask and 5 health pots. So Olaf has a lot of sustain in the top lane. He has his Flask and he has 5 starting health pots. A little bit surprised that he didn't start with a ward for that top lane, but if you look at the map, he actually already has put that ward down. He just put the ward down before the laning phase started. That will keep Olaf safe from a quick level 2 gank from Nocturne. Although I am a little surprised he put it down quite so early. Also, we have the blue team doing double golems, Ezreal Taric, so that is going to give them a little bit of an advantage. You can still do the double golems in bottom lane. It helps to have a stun like Taric. They staggered their stun right there to get in the damage. In terms of laning matchups, again, we have Olaf in top lane against Jace. Jace has a bit of a ranged advantage in terms of poke. Olaf, though, is going to be able to do that true damage. We'll just have to see how things line up there. I am a little surprised that Jace's boots 3 pots. Actually, he's boots 4 pots. It looks like he's stuck around for a 4th health pot. I'm not sure that that's such a great start anymore. In particular, FXOpen has ward coverage in top lane, whereas the other team, Team Undergeared, does not have any ward coverage for their top lane. We'll see if that comes into play. Perhaps they didn't feel like they needed it because Amumu is the jungle on the other side. In mid, we have Karthus for Team FXO. On mid, we have Orianna for Team Undergeared. Both of them have been popular mid choices for a long time. Orianna wins the matchup against Karthus in lane. Orianna pokes much better than Karthus. If you're playing as Karthus in this matchup, you're just trying to farm and trying to get stronger from mid to late game. You're not really going to beat Orianna one-on-one in that mid lane. Something very strange will be happening if Karthus actually wins that matchup one-on-one. In the jungle, we have Nocturne against Amumu on the two sides. Nocturne is got more of an assassination type jungler. Will jump in. His job will largely be to jump in on somebody, jump in on Ezreal, jump in on Karthus in a team fight. And right now we actually do have a gank coming in. Now it's not being spotted by the camera, but Nocturne is coming in behind. Hopefully we'll see it. He actually did get the fear proc off on Ezreal, but Ezreal able to blink back with Arcane Shift just as it hit. Ezreal did not have to use his flash, but he did take quite a bit of damage right there. So a nice little play there on the part of the jungler for Team Undergeared, Volt Ninja. Anyway, in bottom lane, the matchup is Ezreal Taric against Corki Lulu. Ezreal Taric has the stun, which means that it's a little bit better as an all-in lane. The idea there is to use the stun to set up Ezreal poke with Mystic shots, that sort of thing. On the other side, for Team Undergeared, the logic behind Corki Lulu is you're very good at poking. Lulu has the slow, has her glitter glance. Corki has his missiles and his phosphor bombs, so you have a lot of disengages on that lane. Both lanes are very safe bottom lanes for the most part. Taric is the only one who's a little bit more vulnerable because he's melee as opposed to being ranged. But largely speaking, both lanes are quite safe. Ezreal has the Arcane Shift, Corki has the Valkyrie. It's pretty easy for both of them to be able to escape on the other side. So it's likely that we'll see more farming down in that bottom lane, just because neither one is sort of an all-in lane in the way that a Blitzcrank or a Leona pick would seem to indicate. And both of them are just largely going to be poking back and forth as we go through the early portions of this game. No real action taking place yet. It's just exactly dead even in farm, right, sitting right there at 6.1, 6.2k on both sides. So really no difference whatsoever in the game thus far. Orianna is ahead mid. That's about the only thing I can really see. Other than that, it's pretty much even on all sides. Amumu is actually a bit ahead in the jungle. That's because Nocturne went ahead and tried for that gank in bottom lane. Amumu is coming down to bottom lane, but it is warded. I don't expect to see much of anything coming out of that. It was immediately pinged by Team Undergeared, and nothing much coming out of there. Oh, actually, we do have some action right there. Taric going for the flash stun. Here comes the bandage toss, but it's going to be cleansed by Corki, and he should be able to get out of that. A nice use of cleanse there by Waka Waka Wak, the Corki player on Team Undergeared. So Taric getting aggressive, forcing the action, the flash stun, but it does not work out. Does manage to use up the cleanse, but overall that's an advantage for Team Undergeared. 2 flashes down. Amumu also flashed there. 2 flashes down for FXOpen, and nothing gained from it. And that's about all we've really seen in this game thus far. Otherwise, it's very, very even between the two. In mid lane, other items we've seen purchased so far. Karthus went ahead and bought an early tier first. That's a signal from Karthus that he doesn't feel that he's in that much danger. If he went back to get the tier, he would likely get a catalyst if he felt that Orianna was likely to kill him. So Karthus evidently feeling he's not under much killing pressure by go ahead and buying that. Orianna on the other side has gone ahead and picked up the Fairy Charm and the Null Magic Mantle. That's a signal that Orianna's going for Chalice of Harmony. That's what the Chalice now builds out of. I'm a little surprised Orianna didn't just wait to go back until she could straight up buy the Chalice. Seems a little bit weird to buy the 2 components when Chalice is not exactly an expensive item, but may have had some reason to go back. Wasn't watching mid, didn't really see the action mid, so perhaps she had some reason to go back. And she also does have a flask, still has the biscuit, which lets you know she's got at least 9 points in the utility tree. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. I'd have to double check. Does have the biscuit as well, which could be useful in an early game fight. What a lot of people don't know is what the biscuit allows you to do is normally you can either drink a health potion or drink from flask. You can queue up multiple potions, but you can only drink one at a time. With the biscuit, you can actually eat the biscuit and drink a health potion at the same time. It gives you a lot of health regen. It's a pretty big deal. So it can be useful in an early fight. Right now, it's just after 7 minutes. That means the blue buffs are both back up again. The junglers are giving the blue buffs to each of their respective mid laners, almost like clockwork on both sides. Orianna and Karthus go ahead and grabbing them. We don't see it on the camera. There it is. There's Karthus grabbing his blue. And that mid lane really does look like it's going to be a farm lane, which is good news for Karthus, the player on FXOpen. As Karthus, you generally want to be farming mid and just farming mid. You don't really want to be fighting because Karthus loses in mid to almost every other mid laner, and that's the price that he pays for having the global ultimate. Karthus has that global presence, but that means he's not so good in an actual one-on-one fight. He's relatively weak at that. There's really been no action to speak of in this game, unfortunately. It's a shame that we haven't seen a little bit more action. We've had basically one play in bottom lane in the first 8 minutes of the game, and then sometimes that happens. Sometimes the game just slow plays a little bit. I've been keeping an eye on the junglers, and they've both been pretty content just to farm up, but Nocturne is 6 right now, so we may see a little bit more action. Looks like Jace just won that little exchange right there in top lane. Now that Nocturne's 6, it looks like he will probably try to make a play on some lane. I feel like his best target is probably Karthus in mid lane, but Karthus has been playing very defensively in order to avoid exactly that. Anyway, there's the stun. Corki using the cleanse once again. Amumu is there, so it was a very good cleanse usage from Corki. Amumu was there. Is Amumu 6? Yes, he is. So that would have been if Amumu could have hit the bandage toss, they would have gone in for that fight and gone for the kill. As is, though, no harm, no foul, and nothing takes place once again. Really, the minion kills are almost identical in every lane as well. If you look at the different lanes, in top lane, it's 65 to 59 in favor of Jace. In mid lane, it's 75 to 71 in favor of Orianna. And in bottom lane, it's what is it, 69 to 73. There's just not much difference here between these teams. We really have not seen anything of consequence happen in this game just yet. I guess Corki's cleanse is down, but that's about it. The flash for Taric and the flash for Amumu are both about to appear once again. Nocturne is setting up for a gank in bottom. We'll see if he tries to do it. Amumu is setting up for a gank in mid, but Amumu's been spotted. Nocturne is going for the gank through the lane, it looks like. We do have a little bit of action in top, and it looks like Jace has been winning these trades recently. That's good news for him, not such good news for Olaf up there in top lane. I guess we should also mention items. Looks like Olaf has gone for the Ninja Tabai as his first item, and he's building a Philosopher's Stone. He has the Regrowth Pendant and the Fairy Charm. Meanwhile, on the other side of the lane, Jace rushed the early Phage, which is something you don't see as much anymore in Season 3. You used to see the Phage rush much more. But in Season 3, they did nerf Phage pretty hard. They made it more expensive and also decreased the stats on it. So that's a sign that Jace is probably going for Trinity Force as his first item, which is quite common. Anyway, now we have the action. Olaf is going to use his Ghost. A nice dodge right there on the part of Jace, but it's not enough. Karth Assault coming out too, although it is not necessary. A nice bandage toss landed by FXO 408, and that's going to be first blood for Team FXOpen. So they did manage to hit on that particular gank, the first successful one we've seen. Nocturne comes over to pick up the farm at the tower, and that's really the first play we've seen for either side in this game. Karth Assault will be down. Amumu did not have to use his ult, so Amumu still has quite a bit of presence. They may be looking to force a dragon here. Amumu is actually going in mid. Hopefully we'll see that. Yes, now the camera shifts so we can see the mid lane. I believe that they're probably going to do a dragon here. It looks like they're pushing up in mid and pushing up in bot. They know Nocturne's around top. This would be a good opportunity to go and make a play for dragon. Perhaps, actually no, now it looks like they're backing off, but that would have been a logical time to go for it. I guess they didn't want to go for the risk. Nocturne was towards top side of the map because he had to cover top lane, so decided not to go for it. I guess they feel like they didn't have enough damage to try to get the dragon, but in any case, FXO has opened up a lead now in this particular match. More items coming out. Ezreal also rushing the Phage. A little bit surprising there as well. You just don't see the Phage rush that often anymore on a lot of champions, but we've seen it on two different champions in this game. Karthus is going for the full-on farmer's build. He's got the Catalyst and the Tier, so he won't have too much of a mid-game presence, but the longer the game goes on, the stronger he'll be. He'll have both a Rod of Ages and an Archangel Staff later in the game. Will be very, very strong later on. Olaf has now finished his Philistone. He also has the Kindle Gem. Amumu looks to be building towards the new jungle item, Spirit of the Ancient Golem, I think it is. I think that's what it is. He's got the Spirit Stone and also the Giant's Belt. Amumu is also setting up for a gank in bottom. We'll have to keep an eye on this. Meanwhile, on the other side, Nocturne going towards his Wriggle's Lantern. He's got a little bit more farm than he would normally because he covered top lane. He picked up a little bit of farm there. Orianna going for the Athene's Unholy Grail. She has 2/3 of it. That ward is probably going to rule out this Amumu gank in bottom lane. Maybe not, though. We'll see. The stun does come in. Taric's taking a lot of damage. FXO's trying to bait this fight, but it looks like Team Undergeared is just not going for it down there in bottom lane. Meanwhile, the blues are back up again, and they're being donated to the mid laners on either side. Elsewhere, Corki's also going for the Phage. Again, he's got the Vamp Scepter for sustain. Now he's heading for a Phage. So it looks like both sides are going for Trinity, which is something you don't, like as I said before, you don't see that nearly as much anymore. The supports have typical support items for the most part. Oh, now we might see some action. Here we go. Coming in on Lulu. Taric's stun goes in. Lulu ult comes out. Flash and Lulu ult will get Gandhi sauce out of there. Meanwhile, in top lane, Jace still seems to be winning these trades for the most part, and Nocturne's in the area. So we'll see if Nocturne's going to go in and dive on Olaf up there. Some nice damage. Are they going to try to dive this? I think that they might. No, Nocturne is backing off. They thought about it, but decided that they would not do so. And meanwhile in mid, the farming fest continues with no real action on either side. Karth Assault is back up off of cooldown, so will be available for another fight. This has been a game heavy on farming, low on action thus far. Sometimes that does happen. There's still very little difference in the game. The only difference is that first blood in top lane, and Jace doesn't really seem to be very far behind Olaf, if at all. In fact, he's actually still slightly ahead in minion kills. Nocturne is setting up for a gank in top lane through the lane. We'll see if he goes for this. I am assuming they're going to try to push up the minion wave and then try to go for the dive on the tower, Would be nice to be able to see that top lane. Hopefully we'll get a chance. Anyway, no, action coming in bottom as well. Taric with the flash stun once again. Remember, Lulu does not have flash up or her ult. Going to be taken down by Karthus ult. There is the Amumu ult. Can Corki manage to get out of this? Yes, he will be able to. But that's a second kill for FXO. Initiated by Taric, flash stun there. Let's see if the gank comes out in top lane the way I'm expecting it to. Nocturne has been up there for quite some time, and in fact, this may be a misplay from him. No, actually, he just recalled back to base, decided not to go for that gank, and this may turn into a dragon for Team FXO. Meanwhile, right now, Olaf has got the Ignite, and he's going to use his Ghost. He's going to chase down that kill. Meanwhile, taking Dragon as well, and we've finally seen a real lead opened up in this game for the first time. Karthus needs to wall behind him to get Orianna out away from him. I think he will be able to do that. No, there's the Orianna ult coming in. Corki Valkyrie's in, and that's going to be a kill for Team Undergeared, their first of the game. Karthus wall looks like it was on cooldown. He tried to throw it down, but got it out too late. Orianna using her ultimate, Command Shockwave, and picks up a nice kill there. So 3 for 1, but FXO has opened up the first lead in this game. Now they're 2k gold ahead, and Olaf is actually starting to get pretty far ahead in that top lane. I know that he's only ahead I know that they're even in farm, but with the dragon and with a kill and an assist, 101 against 0-2, that's enough to start opening up a lead. Let's see if Team Undergeared can manage to get mid tower off of this. They're getting a lot of damage. We'll see. I don't think they're quite going to get it. No, Ezreal ult will help keep Team Undergeared off the tower. But that's still a nice pushback from Team Undergeared. They were able to pick off 1 kill at the tail end of that dragon and get a lot of damage on mid tower. However, on the other side, Karthus has finished his Rod of Ages. He also now has the Chalice that'll give him a little bit of magic resist and also give him the mana regen. In mid lane, Orianna will surely be finishing her Unholy Grail as she goes back to base. There it is as it pops up right now. Top lane, yeah, Olaf is also, note that Olaf's also 2 levels ahead. So as I said, Olaf is starting to snowball ahead in that lane. Bottom lane looks to be very, very even. In fact, they almost have identical items on either side between Taric and Ezreal down there. Amumu is coming into top lane though. We'll see if they're going to try to dive this. Amumu ult is not quite off of cooldown just yet. He may be looking to do double golems and then go for the kill in top. We'll have to keep an eye on that right now. Nocturne's also creeping around by Karthus. We'll keep an eye on that. Anyway, top lane is where the action is right now. Hopefully the camera will go up there soon, and we'll see if they're going to plan this dive. Amumu ult is off of cooldown, so we'll see. Or they may just be, looks like they may just be forcing Jace off of the tower in order to try to get that tower. That top tower is getting quite low. Is it going to go down? Maybe. We'll see. They are just standing there and tanking it. So yes, they do take top tower. FXO getting the top tower. Team Undergeared then responds by taking tower in mid when Karthus went off to farm his wraiths. Karthus and Orianna are still basically deadlocked in farm on either side, both of them sitting right around 160. Anyway, there's an initiation from Taric. There comes out the Karthus ultimate. It's not quite going to be enough, but it is going to drive Team Undergeared away from their tower. This might be a chance for for Ezreal and Taric to get this tower in bottom lane. Have to keep an eye on it and see. Nocturne's coming over to cover, so perhaps not. We will see. Nocturne may be able to turn this around. Still, it does feel like Nocturne hasn't really been able to use his ult effectively thus far. Oh, by the way, note the pink wards. Nice use of that pink ward there by Karthus in order to clear out the enemy ward coverage. We really have not seen Nocturne pull off a good gank yet, whereas Amumu has actually pulled off, what? Gotten a kill in, in bottom lane? So far, Amumu has been more useful. With the way that Amumu scales in the late game, Amumu is generally better for team fighting anyway. That's probably not the best sign for Team Undergeared. The fact that here in the laning phase where Nocturne can be really strong at ganking people, the fact that he hasn't been able to pull that off is probably not the best sign for them as a team. Anyway, it is still 1-1 in towers. The blue team, Team FXO, does also have 1 dragon. And they seem to be doing the best in top lane right now, partly as a result of the focus that they have received from the jungler in that top lane. But Olaf has gotten that top tower, and now he's starting to put some pressure on the jungle of Team Undergeared up there in the top lane. Elsewhere, looking at items, Ezreal went ahead. He got the Phage, then went ahead and got completed Bloodthirster next. Meanwhile, Corki on the other side is really doing the exact same build. He does not quite have the Phage finished, but other than that, it's literally the same build. Phage into Bloodthirster on both sides, and those two ADs have also been extremely even throughout the game. Ezreal and Corki, two of the ADs who play the most similarly as well, so not much to speak of there. In top lane, that fight just continues to go on and on. Olaf is playing very aggressively, but he has his ult up and his ghost up, so he can probably sit far forward. Also, look at all the wards that Team FXO has in the jungle on the top side. They have 3 different blue wards up there, so they have very good ward coverage of any incoming danger. That's what's allowing Olaf to play so aggressively. Meanwhile, that's also sucked Nocturne up to the top side of the map. Amumu has gone down to the bottom side, and that will allow them to claim their second turret of the game. So again, that's they're able to get that turret largely off of the pressure that Olaf is putting up there in top lane. Meanwhile, Jace went in and looks like he just won that little trade right there. So that top lane, Olaf's ahead, but I mean, it's close enough that he's still Jace still is in this one. Anyway, now that bottom tower is down, the pressure is going to come mid from Team FXO. You can see 3 members of their team moving towards mid lane, and I would expect that they'll start to put pressure on getting that mid tower. That is Team FXO's next objective, to try to take this middle tower. It's going to be somewhat difficult for Orianna to defend this by herself. We see Corki and, well, we see Lulu and Nocturne rotating mid to try and cover that tower. That's really where the focus should be on the camera, is in mid. There's the wall. It doesn't really catch Team Undergeared out too badly, but I think this tower will go down. Tark ult gets popped. It's on one more hit. There it goes. Meanwhile, Corki is pushing bottom lane. So Corki is going to get that bottom tower, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but that mid tower probably more useful to get. And I would have to say that FXO came out ahead. That's a trade that they're willing to make. So we go from 2-1 ahead in towers to 3-2 ahead in towers. And with all of the outer towers now down for Team Undergeared, that's going to allow FXOpen to make a lot of progress into the jungle of Team Undergeared. Dragon's back up again. We'll see. Both teams will likely concentrate there, and this could be a big fight. Actually, no, Team Undergeared is wildly out of position to do this Dragon. They're all back at base buying. This is actually a misplay on Team Undergeared. They are not in position to do this Dragon. If FXO rushes this, they could probably get it first, but they've decided that it's too risky. They actually probably did not know that everyone was back at base, so they're going to back off. Both teams do have a lot of wards around Dragon. We'll see if someone chooses to go for an Oracle. We probably won't see that for a while yet with the Oracle nerfs in Season 3, but perhaps we'll see that. In any case, the potential is there for a big-time fight at the Dragon. Olaf has come down from top. Jace is on his way down from top. There is a pink ward down from FXO, but there's also a ward that they've all walked right through in the bushes there. Let's see if they're going to get it. Okay, FXO does get the Dragon. Now Olaf has ghosted and is going in. A Mumu ult coming out onto Corki. He will cleanse away, and the camera has chosen to follow the fight on top side. We already saw Karthus ult coming out on either side. Volt Ninja going in. Is he going to get the kill on Ezreal? No, he does not get the kill. Now the Karthus ult comes out, and that's going to finish off Lulu, who is running away in the back lines. Double kill, actually, off of that Karthus ult. Jace is trying to poke away, but I think he's going to escape, but that's going to end up being a 3-for-1 and Dragon in favor of FXO. A good fight for them. They got off a pretty good Mumu ult. Oh, Ezreal very, very low, but he is not going to die to that, and I think he's going to be able to escape from this. That would have been very sad for FXO if they had lost Ezreal at the end of that fight right there. So in that fight, a good Amumu ult. Olaf popped his ghost and ran into the back lines, forced many members of Undergeared to scatter away from the charging, angry Axeman. Oh, he's still going after this. He's going to cancel the blue pill of Corki right there. Nicely done, by the way. He's just buying time to continue pushing this lane and buying time for the rest of the team to go back and purchase. So a really good fight for FXO. They got off the Karthus ult. They got off a pretty good Amumu ult. It didn't hit the full team, but Olaf, the mixture of Olaf and Amumu caused Team Undergeared to scatter in that fight. They could not get concentrated. They really were not in an effective grouping there. And then that combined with the damage from the Karthus ult really did quite a bit. Let's go ahead and look at some of the items that have come out now as we have a bit of a reset here on the game as everybody goes back to buy. Ezreal going for Trinity as his second item after the Bloodthirster. Karthus now has, he now is going towards either Deathcap or Zanya's Hourglass with the needlessly large rod. It looks like he also has one of the boots. I think that that's Home Guard boots, but I'm not 100% sure. The icon is quite small. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. Olaf has finished his Warmogs. He also has the Shirelias for initiation, cooldown reduction. Shirelias goes well with Ghost. Let's see if a fight comes in right here. Team FXO is trying to contest this red buff. Who is going to get that red? The Karthus wall is coming in. Oh, Karthus wall. Ezreal ult is going to blow up Nocturne. A good Lulu ult may be able to get Orianna out of there, and it will, in fact, but they are going to lose Nocturne. Oh, Quirky now coming into the fight. Will he get Taric? No, does not get him. Not willing to chase any further forward. So a nice use of Karthus wall there. And now Amumu's going in. He's going to catch two members of the team, catches Jace and Lulu. However, Amumu himself is very low, and he will fall here. Not sure that that was worth it in the end. And actually, FXO is very low. They're getting poked extremely hard here by Jace and Orianna, and this fight is not going as well as FXO thought. They thought that they'd be able to get more off that off of that Amumu ult, but it really has not worked out. It's unfortunate that Karthus ult isn't up. It would have killed Lulu and Jace, but was not up. It is on a very long cooldown, so it looks like Team Undergeared is going to push back this attempt at that tower. Amumu ulted and then just ended up dying because I think he underestimated the amount of poking damage coming out from Team Undergeared. So a little bit of an interesting fight. In terms of other items, as mentioned before, Amumu has gone for the Sunfire. That makes a lot of sense against the other team. The other team, yep, there's the Home Guard boots on Karthus mentioned earlier. Amumu does have the Sunfire cape, of course, gives him that passive damage effect. Armor health makes sense. Nocturne has, let's see, he's got the Wriggles. He also has Home Guard boots as well. And not 100% sure quite what he's going for. It looks like it could be a Frozen Mallet. I suppose that would make sense. Orianna has her core build, Sork Shoes, Athene's Unholy Grail, and Deathcap. Standard, solid build there for Orianna in mid. Corki is also doing the exact same build as Ezreal, Bloodthirster, Trinity. Makes sense. And meanwhile, Jace has gone for the Frozen Mallet. A slightly surprising that he went for the Frozen Mallet. Again, the reason why he's going for the Frozen Mallet is he's defending against Olaf's true damage. The way that you stop someone with true damage like Olaf is you stack health. So it makes sense in that context. Normally, though, you would see a Jace building things like either a Bloodthirster or perhaps a Black Cleaver to add more armor penetration, perhaps a Trinity. But he wanted the health, and he did that because he was laning against Olaf. We'll see where he goes from here. The Vamp Scepter suggests that he may be looking to go Bloodthirster from here on out. Alright, so where's the action going to come next? Dragon will be down for about the next 4 minutes. We will likely see some action around Baron. Most of the outer towers are now down. The only one that's still up is the outer tower in the top lane. FXO is just baiting this Baron. They won't do it. They definitely know that they're not strong enough to do that Baron unless they can score a kill or catch somebody wildly out of position. We will likely see oracles coming out from either the junglers or the supports soon just to clear out that vision around Baron. That's really what oracles are good for now, is you feel like you need to clear out the vision around Baron for a Baron attempt. Without an Oracle, you can't be sure that you've cleared out the wards. One pink ward in the Baron pit is not enough because you can easily hide wards in places that a ward there won't see, that a pink won't spot. Alright, so now we've got a little bit of a standoff here in mid lane between the two. Both teams have pretty decent poke here. Ezreal on one side, I suppose Olaf to a certain extent with his axe toss. Team Undergeared definitely does have better poke with Jace, Orianna, Lulu. Their poke is a little bit better, so it's probably to FXO's advantage not to be standing around. They probably want to force an engage fairly quickly, or they will get poked down by Team Undergeared. They don't really want a long standoff unless they can get Baron or something like that. So we'll see. That tower is slowly losing health in mid. There are also big minion waves pushing in bottom and in top lane. So it's a good time for Team FXO to siege up the middle lane and take advantage of that minion push. So far, Undergeared has not sent anyone to top or bottom lane to deal with that minion push. We'll have to see if they do choose to do so. And Jace is making motions towards the top lane, but he's going to have to come back here. And we'll see if there's a fight. That Karthus wall is going to zone most of Undergeared away, and it looks like they're just going to give this up. Actually, no, Lulu getting stunned right here. We may have an engagement. Lulu's going to have to flash and use her own ult, use her wild growth on herself. So a nice play by Team FXO, getting tower in mid, forcing a flash, and now that Dragon is respawned, they are in position to do it. Team Undergeared is not in position to contest this. They know it's up, but they really can't do anything about it. They have to push out those side lanes, and they don't have Lulu ult up either, which is actually a pretty big deal in a fight like this. The ability to ult either Corki or Orianna or just whoever FXO is focusing in the fight. Now they're just going to make a play straight for this bottom tower, and I think that they're going to get this one because Undergeared is nobody really in position to stop this. So a free tower on a very bold play in bottom lane just straight up manning up and taking down that tower. I do not think that Undergeared was expecting that at all. We'll see if they get in trouble. Oh, Amumu has had his blue pill recall canceled. Looks like he will get out of there nonetheless. A little bit of a dangerous moment, but he's going to be okay. So those last couple plays have been adding up. There's the home guard boots on Olaf as well. Looks like people really like the home guard boots in this game. Those last couple plays have been adding up. A tower here, a tower there, a dragon here and there. It really does add up over time, and FXO now actually has a pretty strong lead in this match. They're up about 7,000 gold. And again, they've just taken minor advantages and snowballed them over time into larger and larger advantages to the point where they're now a pretty strong favorite in this match. Ezreal also had to be burned. FXO was not sure if Team Undergeared was doing Baron. They didn't have a word there, so they burned Ezreal ult just for the vision on the Baron pit. And as it turned out, there was no one there doing it. Here comes the pink ward. Now that, see, we do have an Oracle. It's on Taric. Again, that allows them to clear out the ward in the little brush, and I would expect to see FXO starting to bait Baron, clear out the wards with their Oracle, and really start to put pressure onto this Baron, trying to force Undergeared to meet them in a fight at Baron, a fight where they will have the advantage because they are now ahead in this match. Either force them to come out and fight, or force them to give out the Baron. Force them to give up Baron. Olaf is stuck a little bit behind the Baron pit, but he should be okay. He's pretty tanky. He's got the Wormogs, the Shurelya's, and the Hexdrinker now. Alright, well, we'll have to see where things go. How will this stalemate at Baron end up getting broken? It's still close enough that FXO can't just be stupid about how they do this. They do have to be careful about how they play it. They have cleared out all of the vision at Baron currently. How many wards are there still up on the part of Undergeared? They've got the Regal's ward is down, but Orianna has some wards, and there's that Sightstone on Lulu, so it'll be a while. Anyway, here comes the initiation going in onto Ezreal, but there's the Arcane Shift backwards. Amumu ult, very nice, catching 4 members of Team Undergeared. Karthus is in there doing work. Amumu has fallen, though, and Olaf is not here. Oh, boy, this could go very, very bad. However, Ezreal is still alive in the back lines. Out comes the Karthus ult. Is that going to finish anyone off? Oh, double kill! And let's see, Ezreal going to get another kill, so that's a 4-for-1 right now. And Karthus didn't even die in that fight. I didn't see exactly where he was. So a fight that looked good initially. Team Undergeared trying to force that fight because they knew Olaf was in top. It was a 5v4, but Amumu counteracting that very nicely. He managed to catch, I think, 3 members of Undergeared in his ult. Ezreal was able to blink away backwards. He used his Arcane Shift and his Flash to disengage in that fight. Without being able to get to Ezreal, they didn't have much of a chance of winning that fight. So Taric and Amumu sacrificed themselves for the cause. And in the end, FXO is going to come out pretty far ahead. Now, they don't have their jungler up. Amumu is, well, he's running towards Baron. But they do have Ezreal and Olaf and Karthus, their 3 biggest damage dealers. And one advantage of Karthus is he does kill Dragon and Baron very, very fast. They also know that there's no ward coverage for Team Undergeared here at the Baron because they cleared out all those wards with their Oracle earlier. Still, this is dangerous. Taric is back there forcing Orianna away. The Baron's getting low. I think FXO is going to get this. Yes, Amumu will smite it. Karthus is extremely low but has not died. Meanwhile, another fight going on. FXO probably wants to disengage from that. Yes, the wall will allow them to emerge from that fight intact, but they did get Baron. If they can get everyone else out at this point in time, FXO will be very happy with the outcome of that fight. Ezreal ult to clear bottom lane. There's a huge minion wave pushing that bottom tower. So a great sequence of plays for FXOpen. They got the middle lane tower. They got the middle lane inhib. They got a Baron. It was a pretty risky Baron. I think you would have seen some of the more experienced professional teams probably would not have gone for that because it was quite risky, and that could have put Undergeared back in this match. But in the end, it works out. They do claim the Baron. Ezreal's 205. Karthus is 512. And Olaf is 303. Their big damage dealers are all in great shape, and they're looking to be in a very strong position. Now 10k gold ahead and with Baron. I would expect that they will just group up and start to push side lanes. They can go for top or bottom lane. Bottom lane is probably the better target to go for. They already have a tower down in bottom, the secondary tower, and bottom lane is the best one to push while Baron is on cooldown because you don't have to worry about dealing with Baron. And if you can get that bottom lane tower, get the bottom lane tower and inhib, then it makes it much more difficult for the other team to get Baron later on because the super minions will be pushing. Nope, looks like they actually are going to go for top lane instead. That's fine. They really can push either lane. I think bot might be slightly better but it doesn't matter that much. They're likely rotating top just because they saw Corki in bot, and they can get that tower for free while Corki's all the way down there in bottom lane. Anyway, in terms of items, we've got a lot of finished items coming out. We'll just talk briefly about them. Ezreal, Trinity, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, and now he's got another BF Sword, probably Infinity Edge building there. Karthus, Deathcap Rod, and Archangel Staff. Well, the upgraded version of that. So he has a ton of ability power. Olaf is... It looks like he's building a Last Whisper, doesn't quite have it. And Amumu is now building Aegis / Runic Bulwark. Alright, so here we go. Here's the standoff between both sides. Again, Team Undergeared does have better poke, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. Wow, look how much damage the Karthus Q did. 1 Q to Orianna, just dropping her health by about maybe as much as like a 1/6 or something, but took a lot of damage there. This is where the Home Guard boots will help out Team Undergeared. And they're going to continue sieging up this tower. Again, the super minions will push in mid, and that's why it's going to be very difficult for Team Undergeared to hold this. Baron Regen also working in the favor of FXOpen. They will have the opportunity to do this. And here comes the... they need to kill the tower first. A nice Lulu ult going in on Nocturne. Daedream looks like he's going to fall. Orianna ult hitting quite a few people. Amumu ult catching, I think, 2 to 3 members of Team Undergeared. And again, FXO has just snowballed too far ahead. They're able to bully their way straight through that tower. They're going to take the middle inhib. Orianna shielding herself. Wow, she's taking so much damage from this Karthus Q. Karthus ult still has not been used. Here it comes out now, and no, not enough damage to kill Orianna. But Jace has gone far forward. We'll have to flash backwards into the fountain right here. 1 Nexus turret goes down. The second one's starting to get low right here. 2 Nexus turrets going down. Again, Corki is going to have to do his best, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And there we go. The match is over. And Team FXO is going to take this. This is a best of 3 series, as I understand it. So we will have another match, but nicely played by FXOpen. They just took small advantages and kept building on them over and over again throughout the match until they were able to take it to a win. No real dramatic turnaround. There was not any one real point in the game where I felt like they got ahead. It was just the small accumulation of advantages throughout the match, starting with their first blood and just building one dragon fight at a time until they're able to take this match. So a very nice game. So congrats to FXOpen, and hopefully we'll see the second match in this series next.